We're going to start if everybody could finish your conversation so we can get underway. Thank you so much. I appreciate that in the recording set. Okay. I know I've introduced myself to those of you at the table before, but we'll start again with the introductions and allow it to go around. My name is Terry Harmon. I am working as bargaining agent on behalf of the board, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to my team, and then we'd obviously like to hear your introductions as well.
Carter Morrison, Assistant Superintendent for Finance for the district. Maurice Bonner, Director of Human Resources for the district.
Julie Sessa, Assistant Superintendent HR for the district.
Matt Theobald, Martin County High School, MCEA.
Gary Simmons, Chief Negotiator for MCEA from FEA.
Karen Ressiniti, President, Martin County Education Association.
Lonnie Barch, MCEA.
Ariane Deneen, MCEA.
Susan Reyes, Seawind Elementary, MCEA.
Pat Holtz, MCEA.
Tyson Vilwalk, Director of Professional Standards for District.
Jennifer Radcliffe, Principal of Jensen Beach Elementary for the district.
Jeff Raymond, Principal, Indiantown Middle School, representing the district.
Lori Vogel, Principal, Jensen Beach High School, representing the district.
Okay. Following up where we were on our July 6th session, really have kind of two pieces of information to relay over to you. One of them is a little straightforward. The second one, not so much straightforward. And we're going to pass it out in a moment. But the first one wanted to present to you for your consideration is a proposed memorandum of understanding for a one-time recognition for reading certified or reading endorsed instructional personnel. Again, we'll pass that out, and effectively would result in a one-time lump sum bonus of $500 for those eligible employees on this reading certification or reading endorsement as of December 31st, 2022, who have not already received such a bonus. That's the first issue. The second issue to relay to you is following up on the salary adjustment proposal from the last session on July 6th. I won't rehash the numbers that were presented at that because I think everybody here at the table's familiar with what those were, but wanted to kind of relay to you an update on where we are with those numbers. We have, since those have been proposed, had deep discussions with our team and have taken the figures that you have proposed and tried to crunch those figures, working with the budget that we have talked about before in the past, or at least that the district has relayed to you, the budget within which we were working on. But one of the complications that we're running into as we are working through your proposal is the impact of Florida Statute 1012.22 and how that's going to impact not just those members who are impacted by the salary adjustment proposals that we have had back and forth with each other, but also another class within the membership, and that is those individuals who are making below the $47,500 that is identified in 1012.22. And kind of drilling down even more specifically, as I know you're aware, one of the provisions in 1012.22 when it comes to those employees, or excuse me, those bargaining unit teachers who are making a minimum base salary under $47,500, one of the requirements in statute that was just put into place last year is that when you are making an adjustment to the grandfathered salary schedule, a salary adjustment to that schedule, what you are required to do by law, this is not a school board imposed issue, but what the statute requires is that when you are making an adjustment to the base salary of a grandfathered salary schedule member, you are required to take whatever the highest adjustment is. So let's just, for sake of hypotheticals, that the highest adjustment was $1,000. Whatever figure we arrived at or were able to agree upon for a salary adjustment resulted in the highest paid grandfathered salary schedule member receiving a $1,000 salary increase. What the statute requires is that the lowest minimum salaried teacher below $47,500, let's say right now our salary schedule I believe is $45,700. What the district is required by law to do is to take that $1,000, which is the highest grandfathered increase, and give that lowest minimum base salaried employee in the district, which is the $45,700, 150% of that 1,000, and to make that the new minimum salary base. So effectively, if we use 1,000 as my example, 150% of that is 1,500. So we would then bump the $45,700 minimum base salary to $47,200. That's where we have been crunching numbers and trying to work and vet through the last proposal that we had received, and trying to not just look at how is that proposal going to impact just those individuals on the performance salary schedule and on the grandfathered salary schedule, just in terms of their base salaries, but it's the reverberation that it will have on a significant number of members who are at that minimum base salary. The other issue on top of that is if that minimum base salary goes to $47,200 and then causes those individuals at the minimum base salary to leap other individuals who are still below $47,500, it's going to require those individuals to be brought up too. And this is complicated. Again, this is per statute. This is not a board imposed issue. So where we are is really trying to calculate the impact of whatever proposal we can agree upon for the grandfathered and the performance salary adjustment, and how that's going to impact district-wide for those lower base salary numbers. So that's really complicated this discussion, and kind of trying to not only address your counter proposal, but how that counter proposal then impacts a significant number of your members. So that's part of the struggle that we've had. And I think we need that opportunity to continue to determine how that financially is going to impact the entire bargaining unit, if that makes sense to you.
So Terry, even though we don't have two separate schedules, we've always done it, highly effective for annual contract, let's just say got 15, and highly effective for professional services got 12, even though we don't have two separate schedule, you're saying that this law still applies?
The way that I read it is for any employee who is what the statute I'm looking at, 10-12-22, how many sub statutes there are. The way I interpreted it as those PSC members are effectively what they're referring to in there. And I'm open to having that dialogue with you as well. Again, we're trying to, whatever proposals you have and any counter proposals and any TAs and agreements, we have to comply with what the legislature is making us comply with. So we are absolutely open to working with you on ensuring that any raises are appropriately given to your members. And what we don't want to do is not give a raise to those under $47,500 that would be required to receive that if the law permits that. So that's what we're having discussions with and crunching on our side, is how is your proposal impacting that group? Because again, in reviewing these proposals, in reviewing the numbers and reviewing the statute, again, it speaks to 150% of the largest adjustment made to any employee on the grandfathered salary schedule, which is different than your typical performance salary schedule. So that's where wanting to be on the same page with you as to how because right now we've talked a lot about salary adjustments, working within the confines of the 50, 75%, and then the 25%, different numbers. But it's the impact on the others that I think we've got on our side to have some additional time to work through to make sure that any agreement is reached is compliant with what the legislature has dictated to us.
Makes sense to me, Terry. Makes sense. It makes sense to me. So,
Well,
what?
let me just ask just another question. Are you suggesting that we should probably have two separate schedules rather than, like, our little schedule that showed annual and professional services was at the bottom, as opposed to having a grandfather schedule
And an annual.
Schedule?
I don't believe we've even gone down that route in our discussions, and we have not bargained that issue yet. That is obviously something, if you think that's worthwhile for us to present, we can have that discussion. With our team, I just don't have that authority today to go down a different schedule.
Right. Okay.
So I think maybe.
This is very complicated.
It
and
is.
It's taking a shift. Thinking out loud, what we've done so far is only the governor's money. So basically that's our performance, that's that other schedule. And we haven't touched all of the people who would not be in that. So just thinking out loud to separate them out, it's about 600 teachers who got governor's money, and we have 1224. So, and I don't even know, because I was not aware of this particular thing. It almost seems like a grandfather schedule could be with the other people. 600 and 624, it would almost naturally create two schedules, but I'd have to look at it.
That's.
I really have to look at kind of just people on each line and forget all of these other columns and just look at two things. Keep it simple, because we don't need all of that other information that we normally have on there. But it's gonna take my simple math brain a little bit of time to go over it.
And let me maybe even state what I said a different way. I was at the board meeting last night. I know the folks behind me are wanting this resolved. I know this is a very passionate issue. And the approach that I'm having today is not one trying to kick the can down the road. I'm just trying to, as we're at this session and we're trying to work together for something that impacts a whole lot of people, it's got to be within the confines of the law. We're stuck with that on our end, and I know you obviously would never advocate for a position that didn't meet the requirements of statute.
Right, we're not ethically
I get that.
entertaining agreeing to any language that isn't in compliance with state law. So I would rather us take a deep dive and continue to crunch the numbers until we have something that is in compliance and that is reasonable for all of our bargaining unit members that would be affected by these decisions. I would rather be diligent and right than rush and have to make corrections in the future. So I can appreciate that approach. And we've been in the session with this session 21. We've been going through it this long. At least when we get to the tail end, we can be confident with the proposals that we agree to. So I have no issues taking a deeper look. Is there anything that our side can be looking at with respect to making this a little bit more fruitful in upcoming session?
I think in light of the prior sessions and kind of where we are procedurally, you've made a proposal to us, and we spent a lot of time reviewing those. I think probably the most effective thing that we probably can do to help move this along and not be in session 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. Nobody wants that. But to try to move this along is to give us the opportunity to come up with a written, and we've done that a number of times. I mean, there's been a number of times in prior sessions where we've put up spreadsheets and we've looked at percentages, and is to come up with a more defined written proposal that not only addresses your proposal about the salary adjustments for the different classes, but then also factors in any requirements under 1012.22 for those individuals who are not making the 47,500. Because I'm sure, the legislature is pushing that, and that's a number that's going to have to be met in 2023 as it is. Right. So I just think that might be more helpful to hand you something and say, your counter was this. In response to that, here's our counter as to the salary adjustments, and within that, it will say if there is a requirement for any impact on those under 47,500, this is what it's going to be. And we're a little bit forced what that number is, because it has to be that 150% in our view. But I think that's a significant proposal that's probably going to have to be provided in writing to you.
This is confusion by design by the state. That's, I just have to say, it's confusion by design. They throw one thing after another, and when you think you have it all figured out, and then they threw something else in there.
It would be easier if we had a certain amount and then we just come up with a reasonable and agreeable increase, but we are driven by some parameters of the law too. Obviously, with budget issues, that's more in our house. What we do with that, though, we are guided a little bit by this.
I'm sorry, I don't have a math brain or a legal brain, but can you tell me again the statute that?
Sure. Yeah, what we were looking at is statute 1012.22.
1012.22.
1012.22.
Okay.
And even more specifically, if you want to hear subparagraphs, subparagraph 1, subparagraph C, 1, 2, 3, 4, subparagraph 5, subparagraphs A and B.
Awesome.
Those two subparagraphs A and B basically talk about performance salary schedule, base salary, and salary adjustments.
When did this law go into effect?
2021.
July 2021. Okay.
And just for the audience, I just want to say that there are 22 laws in Florida statute that dictate how we negotiate these salaries. 22 laws. And this is the most recent one. So here where we have the 3.5 and the 2.8 that took care of the 75, the 75% rule.
Right.
And then this is the one that was threw in the most recently, and it's very frustrating.
And it's just making sure that, when we're working within the parameters of the I don't want to say working within, but you've made a proposal of 3.5, 2.8 percentage differences. It's not just about the impact of that. It's pursuant to this. How does that apply to everybody else? That's what's causing our side needing additional time to kind of crunch these numbers so that we can come back with a written proposal on that. Understanding the urgency of this.
Yeah, I can relate because we took a shot at getting that proposal ready to be presented in last week's session, and it was quite a task to crunch those numbers and stay within the confines of the parameters of the legislation. So I can appreciate the consideration and the need, the overwhelming need to be accurate with respect to these figures. Thank you for being transparent with the process on your side.
So you mentioned leapfrog a little briefly when we were talking about, getting them up to 47.5 or overreaching. We had an MOU that we needed to present. I had spoken with Julie because I could have sworn I gave it, but when I look back, Gary was out, we had a substitute, then we canceled the session, and then Mike was out, and then David Azzarito, he was out. And so this goes way back, and it's a technicality with a word, basically, in order for us to ensure that our teachers do not get leapfrogged. So I'm just gonna pass this over. David is no longer on the team, but like I said, I had this prepared for May 17th during session 16. And I was waiting for David, and because David is the one who I had this discussion with, so I think the strike through and here and after, I will read the language. The Martin County Education Association here and after MCEA and the Martin County School District here and after district collectively here and after collectively referred to as the parties hereby agree to modify the MOA dated May 24th, 2019 regarding wages, hours, and all of the terms of employment for instructional employees employed in the district for 2018-19, 2019-20 school year as follows. Effective July 2nd, 2019, and thereafter, the parties agree that the attached schedule 2018-19 schedule for initial placement based on years of experience and performance pay shall apply for 2019-20 school year. Effective 2019 and thereafter, no current instructional employee shall receive less than the attached 2018-19 or any subsequent negotiated instructional salary schedule for the initial placement based on years of experience, even if the employee's current base salary plus applicable performance pay sums up to a lesser amount. So apparently, the people who are looking at this, and they made a judgment that it only applied to 2018-19, even though it said thereafter. So it was suggested that I make it very clear that, or any subsequent negotiated. In other words, this was in 18-19 and then 19-20. We had no published salary schedule in 19-20 or 2021. No, 2021. So we skipped a year. Okay, and so because that year was skipped, it was determined that this language did not apply. So in essence, if you have a teacher who's taught 20 years, maybe the teacher did not have an evaluation, maybe the teacher had a low band score and they didn't get performance pay, someone coming in to the district with 20 years would be making more than the person because they did not move due to performance pay. So the change in language was just to ensure the intent of the discussion back in 18-19.
And these strike-throughs that are on here, are these new strike-throughs? Because I see the blue that you added for the, or any subsequent negotiated.
Yes.
But are those just
Yes,
catching it
because
up to speed?
Because they wanted it to be updated, and to be honest with you, I wasn't too sure how to update it when, in my opinion, if it says here in after, that's the future.
When you said they've had issues, how's this, just curious, what's
I
the,
have a couple of teachers who have been waiting to get their salary adjusted since April of 2020. I didn't fix it to the way the district is reading it, feel free, but I was told to make the
Okay.
initial MOU.
Have we passed this out yet, too?
Reading endorsement.
You have a, okay, we got to pass out the reading endorsement if we have. Lindsay might have it.
And you can put the date on this, because I have the date on the second page, and Gary printed it up.
Well, we've got to get you a copy of this reading endorsement.
I think it's the,
I think Lindsay would have it.
I saw that last year.
Why don't you take the reading endorsement?
Oh, I said I would be.
So we got.
But even,
Okay.
I mean, and that's with highly effective ratings. But I don't know. Okay, placement. Yes, placement, I don't know. Why do all these people reply to rep training?
Do you, so we've got the 2 MOUs.
You don't know. It's
In light of our kind of discussion about the possible impact of 1012.22, would you have an objection if we could soon come back to the table on that 1012.22 potential impact, which would give us the opportunity to calculate how this is going to impact the district while also staying in compliance with the law? And as I said, I think to move things along, we owe you something written so you can see if, based on our interpretation of the impact of the statute and how it may impact the salary adjustments, I think you've got to have that in front of you.
okay.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So if you want to try to see calendar-wise, I know what to tell you on our side, what we just need to do is we probably need to have an executive session scheduled on our end so that we can get this information. So I'll kind of ride your calendar to hear what you've got first.
Well, I'm hoping that we could look at the middle or end of next week, if that would give you enough time to do so.
What do you think?
I don't know.
Let me see. But that's a Saturday. I can do the 22nd. Let me see. Well, possibly the 22nd.
Yeah, I can do that.
If that, as an alternative, is there a day the following week you might have? Not bad for you? Yeah, we want to, I agree.
Right away, if you are already endorsed, you're going to get it. As of December 31st, if you got yourself.
You want to try the 22nd?
Yeah, 'cause,
We're just trying to see. I think we have a meeting set with the board on the 21st, which would give us the time to get that executive session held. The 20, is the board meeting the 21st?
That works.
The board's meeting.
The 22nd.
It's a Friday.
A week from Friday.
Are we gonna do this in the
Morning?
So we could do the 22nd here. We could do the 22nd. Not late.
not late?
No.
It's Friday.
No, I mean, I just think in terms of the items to be
10 o'clock,
discussed,
Yeah.
it gives us more time if we start earlier.
Time on the 22nd is good for you.
I'm off, so I don't have anything on my calendar on Friday.
How about 10? Would 10 o'clock be an okay time for your team?
10 o'clock.
I'll be here with bells on.
10:30?
Carter, this kind of reminds me of 2014, when Graham, pulled everything apart, and there were, adjustments made. I'm wondering if there's a way to show who the people are who have historically gotten the higher performance pay, or do you think that it doesn't even have anything to do with that? It's anybody below 47.5, which we have 600 people below 47.5, so.
That's what we're working through to see how many members are going to be collected up into this. That's the issue on our end.
Right.
One of the issues is, again, depending on how the funds are characterized, we just are stuck with not stuck with, but you understand, we have to operate within what the law permits. And that's what, to Gary's point, where he mentioned earlier, we don't want to get down the road in a good situation with you and then have to just, yes. So we're trying to avoid that by having this additional time to work through that and then to come to you with something.
We haven't gotten to 47.5.
So that would be July 22nd at 10:30. Is that okay?
Or 10 o'clock if fine with me too. Either way.
All high school and middle school admins have a meeting with instructional services from 9 to 10, so 10:30.
So if you have members that want to come.
That's fine. That's fine with me. 10:30 is good.
Is that enough time for anybody that's further away in the district to get here? Okay.
And Martin County's very small-minded.
10:30 is not a big traffic time. Okay. Well, I will say again, I appreciate you too understanding the confines, and certainly we'll be in a better position to follow up with you on that day.
Yeah, well, it's completely different. We're not talking about a decision that the school board has made that's putting us in this situation. It's just trying to be in compliance with state legislation, so that's
all we're focused on.
Right. That's completely understandable.
Okay.
Do you have any questions about?
I was going to talk to them separately. I just don't know enough about the 2018-19 timeframe as I'm sitting here.
Right.
But I don't have questions based on what you've written. I understand what your concern is that your view of paragraph 2 or interpretation of that at the time it was written was that for any instructional employee after July 1st of 2019 should not make less than what is outlined on the 2018-19 schedule or any subsequent. That's what your interpretation is, but I just need to do my diligence on that.
I can send you the salary schedule that went along with that because it was district's proposal.
Okay.
You may have it, but.
Is that higher than the current schedule? Is that the issue that you're running into, that when these couple of individuals that jumped in post-2019, that the proposed amount on the salary schedule is less than what was proposed back then?
No, it's
Okay.
that they were making a certain amount of money and somebody who was hired with 20 years.
Got it.
Was
Okay.
making $800 more.
I hear you.
It was, I think we knew that there may be a little bit of space there where it could possibly happen. But I have had this teacher trying to get this straightened out since April of 2021.
We'll be ready to go on that.
When we negotiated it, so it was, she picked up on it when I posted the salary and she picked up on it and I've been trying to fix it. And, I mean, I think the language is clear the way it was, but that's fine.
I don't have any questions. Yeah, I just want to make sure, because I wasn't at the table at 18-19, but in terms of your reason for doing this, I think it's pretty clear why.
Okay.
But we'll check and.
The phrase leapfrog was used, so that no employee was leapfrog, so you may be able to find something, and I will send it to you when I get back.
Okay. Thank you so much. And then if you wouldn't mind between now and then with the MOU on the reading and endorsement, take a look at
Oh, I
that.
did have a question with that. And
Okay.
is this retroactive if the teacher got reading endorsement last year?
It is, well, I mean, it reads,
If they're reading certified or endorsed, so that covers both.
It is for both reading, certification, and endorsement, as written.
But I mean, is this moving forward, or is this retroactive?
It is-
I remember speaking about this in labor relations.
It reads December
It
31st,
would,
22.
it would be as of December 31st if you had not already received the bonus, that the bonus would be applied. But we have not defined whether or not this was intended to be retroactive to prior years
Okay.
or just the 2021-2022 school year. So we probably,
When I read paragraph 3, it looks like anyone who is endorsed.
as of December 31st, 2022.
No, paragraph 3, any MCEA bargaining unit eligible employee who is reading certified or reading endorsed as of the date of ratification, which would be this day
Today.
of June, right?
it
Or
was today.
July, or
Well, it
whatever.
says as of December
Yeah.
31st, so.
No,
what is-
no.
Then
But
it's
if
not
you go
limited
get it-
Continue,
to,
listen. Will receive the one-time lump sum bonus, subject within 60 days. Any MCEA bargaining unit eligible employee who is reading certified or certified endorsed as of. The point of this, I'm reading it, is they're going to reward everyone who already got the endorsement, and now they want people to get it by December 31st. So the point of this is to get people
Yes.
to endorse by December 31st.
Yes.
What
So
I-
you'll get the award if you've already got the endorsement, and if you get it by the 31st of December, you'll also get the award.
yes, it's not, what I was going to say is it's not limited by 2021-22
Right.
school year.
Right.
Did anyone who got reading endorsed already receive a bonus? Because it says,
No, not pursuant to
not
this,
that,
no.
okay.
It's not,
I
that
didn't
wouldn't have been
think so.
bargained for.
This is a new bonus, is the
Yep.
way I'm reading it.
But it
yeah.
just says who hasn't been,
And unless you're comfortable with it now, I don't want to rush you. But I'm saying if you're comfortable with it, we're happy. But if you just want to wait the extra week, I have no problem whatsoever with that in light of, in light of our position.
I think we should.
Absolutely. Yes,
But
of
I
course.
sort of, I thought it was
You want us to stay?
75, 25.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'll make sure they get a second. Yeah. So if we can start back up, we're still on. I'm sorry to complicate a little. Is there any chance at all that Monday, the 25th in the morning, as opposed to Friday, the 22nd, would work?
No.
That's a no-no.
We have leadership.
But we're not that important to the
We're not that
process.
important, but I think they have to be able to.
No.
The other powers.
Jeff, I disagree with that.
To the financial aspect, we would not
district
delay a
leadership.
thing if that's your very big.
22nd is district leadership?
25th.
25th, and that's,
25th
No,
and
no, Monday's
26th.
not good for me.
we've just got
It's not
some,
good for me.
I think we
I
need
want
to-
Friday.
What's wrong with the 22nd, which is what we,
we've got some scheduling issues on our end that I'm trying to, that's what I just tried to go confirm, and we're running into some scheduling problems.
How about the 21st or the 20th or the 19th?
The 21st, we are scheduling our executive session to try to be ready to present to you. That, the problem with the 22nd is more on our end in terms of availability. If the 25th in the morning can't work, we can make, I mean,
I'll commit to being here on the 25th.
but it's that, I mean, your team has to be available. I don't want to
Yeah, our team
also
has
put
been
you,
available and will be available.
Months.
all of you are out?
Carter can stay with you.
What, can we meet on the 21st later in the day?
Yeah.
Can you have your executive session and then meet with us?
I-
The 21st, I have a special school board meeting for the trim, for the advertisement of the taxes. That takes a lot of preparation. If I can't meet that day, that's the problem with the 21st.
The calendar never expected to be doing this late in the year. That's the problem.
No. I'd rather not go down that road. The problem is I cannot physically be here, nor can my counterpart in person on the 21st. That's not possible.
You can be here.
22nd, I can tentatively say yes to, but I need to figure out more. I did not expect we were going to pick the 22nd at the table. I just don't want to delay, and that's why when we talked earlier, I said, let's pick the 22nd. Went out and had the discussions about availability, and I'm just trying to make sure that the date that we give you is the date certain, and I'm not calling you in an hour saying, oops. So if I can tell you for sure, and I understand and can completely appreciate it's more than just us that matter on this, the 25th and the 27th are both good days, and I can tell you tentatively on the 22nd, yes. That's not going to work.
And I'm in arbitration all day.
That's not going to work either.
Yeah, so 27th is definitely
And we have
out.
rep training.
And I'm doing final arbitration preparation on the 25th. That's why I was thinking of whether the 22nd would be able to work.
I mean-
But if it's the 25th, I can't speak for my team saying that day doesn't work. So I commit to the 22nd.
I can't.
I can commit to anything next week.
So you're stuck with basically the same issue. If we dump into next week on your end, it's just bad.
Yeah, it's
Okay, I
it's
appreciate
chaotic
that.
If we dump into that week for me.
Then it's going to have to be the 22nd. I'm just going to have to try to find a way to make it work. So
They sent the invitations out already.
yeah, move quick.
Sorry.
I was just about to say, I think I actually have something on the 22nd, but it's this.
There you go. The whole thing is, you have to understand that when you bargain in Martin County, you don't make plans, ever.
Yeah, well, there's more than just my personal schedule too, and I want to understand that. So I would say if the 25th is just absolute no-go on your end, I can appreciate that. Let's just stick with the 22nd, and we'll make it work. 10:30, as calendared,
Yeah. So
till 3. That's what mine says.
Here?
So did you, out of your caucus, did you have anything to? Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
out of
sorry.
the caucus, we are going to tentatively agree to the memorandum of understanding presented.
Okay.
And I did confirm,
Yes.
Sue, your concern, that if you have your reading endorsement today, you'll get the 500, and if you don't have it, you have till December 31st. So we
See,
can
on the
confirm that.
500, okay.
So we can sign off on that MOU today, and then we'll just have those other two pieces for the next one. Okay. Well, again, appreciate you both for being here and understanding. Did you have more?
Just a follow-up with respect to, at the last session, we were discussing whether or not a new memorandum of understanding had to be signed with respect to the TSIA. The one that we signed off in February, and then, we discussed the fact that the base salaries increased since we signed off on that in February, and there was a need to get that money dispersed to the bargaining unit members. Can you give us an update on where we're at with that?
So I've had discussions with my payroll folks, and we're currently in the process of getting that all put together to be dispersed as soon as possible.
Okay, and that didn't require a new
So
MOU?
I believe at the time you had mentioned that your previous TA substituted,
Mm-hmm.
but we can still formalize that and get it ratified by both.
Yeah, check with, we can check on both sides to see if that needs to be
Okay.
revisited and
But we
updated.
are putting that together to
Yeah,
get that out.
I just wanted to make sure that our bargaining unit members didn't lose out on that money. I know how petty the state can be. So I just wanted to make sure that took place.
Okay.
And teachers, we want to hang around after we're over to answer any questions for you instead of caucusing and you guys hang out for 2 hours.
Yeah, I need one that doesn't say draft on it. So before you leave, though, let's get this signed.
Okay.
Mine only says draft.
You don't have a clean copy?
We'll get one. We don't have a clean one? Can we print one from?
I'm no longer able to print.
We're not signing one that says draft. Sorry. We're going to try to get one printed.
bonuses that they can't print in this building. They can't print. Time to go and get cold. And they just wasted my time. Susan and I were out. You could have stayed there for another hour.
That's why I said I can personally high tilt. Because then I can't.
I can too, but no, I don't give you. No.
Yeah, I think all we have to do is sign, we're closed off. We can turn off. I think we're concluded for today, absent signing.
I promise. I'm feeling the same way at this point.